You ever read a contract or an agreement or talked to an attorney and you walked away saying, I don't know what that just said? Well, then today's case study is for you. Here's the problem. A young client couple recently received draft documents from their attorney. They asked me to review them, in particular the special needs trust, to better understand how it would work. They also invited me to join the meeting with their attorney so that I could help them understand what was happening. Here's some of the key facts. The attorney drafted a living family trust, a special needs trust, powers of attorney, and healthcare directives. A special needs trust was included, but it wasn't clear if that special needs trust existed on its own as a standalone special needs trust, or if it is what's called testamentary and exists only within the parent's living family trust. Here's the plan we came up with. I joined the Zoom meeting with the client couple and the attorney to help better understand both sides. We directly asked if the special needs trust existed as its own document. The attorney said, yeah, it did. I pressed even further and asked the key words. Is this special needs trust a standalone special needs trust as its own separate legal entity, or is it a testamentary special needs trust existing only within the family's living family trust? The attorney confirmed what we thought, which is that the special needs trust was not a standalone, but instead only existed inside of the family's living family trust. And it would only become a special needs trust when the parents passed away under a springable clause. Now, given their son's young age and autism diagnosis, we counseled together to determine if it made sense to have a separate standalone special needs trust or to embed that in the family's living family trust as a testamentary, as the draft had stated. Since his future capacity for self-sufficiency was uncertain, we decided that a testamentary special needs trust within the family's living trust would make the most sense, because if he becomes financially independent, he wouldn't need a special needs trust, and therefore the family would save time, money, and unnecessary administrative headaches over the next many years. With this understanding, the clients felt confident in understanding the estate documents that they have, and in particular, ensuring that their son with a disability would be taken care of if something happened. Every time I work with a new client couple who needs to go to the attorney to get their documents created or updated, I always offer to join them, because a lot of times the legal jargon just doesn't make a lot of sense. And while I'm not an attorney and I cannot give legal advice, I understand these. I read a lot of them. I know what they need to say specifically to make sure our loved ones with disabilities and special needs are taken care of.